extremely relevant updates. How are you guys doing?
Yeah!
Okay. Ronan David is back from Israel, and he actually got this for me right around the corner at a thrift store. So it's highly relevant. So read the text, pass it around, read the text. I have a few things here. Okay, so the first thing, I'm going to open up with a piece of a poem by Adrienne Rich from Not Like That, 1965. To stay here forever is not like that, nor even simply to lie quite still. The warm trickle of dream staining the thick quiet. The drawers of this trunk are empty. They are all out of sleep up here. So then we do the Twitter poems. I do Twitter poems, and I'm actually going to tweet right now, live tweeting from the stage right before reading the Twitter poems. So if you guys have Twitter, on your phone or on your laptop, on your lap, the last thing I'm going to do is a tweet, and basically what I do every year, and this is the second year doing it, is I will tweet Twitter poems from about January until this festival, and then I'll stop for about 9 months, 8-9 months. So the last one, hopefully of 2013, will be at the end of this reading. When I talk about Twitter poems, each line is a tweet, and each poem are multiple tweets. I don't know exactly what I'm doing when I go into it, but I have a bunch of different concepts that I work with. It started on January 4th of this year, thinking about Twitter as a medium for objects and looking at tweets as being malleable. So here's one series from January 4th. Juice the tweet, steal the tweet, pass the tweet, plug the tweet, perform the tweet, pluck the tweet, live the tweet, dream the tweet, birth the tweet, destroy the tweet. Another thing that I like to do when I'm tweeting is doing actions. I have Twitter on my phone, or it's on my computer, and I'll just start doing certain things and then tweeting about it. So I did this kind of marathon on January 16th, and it goes like jumping and tweeting, hopping and tweeting, skipping and tweeting, crawling and tweeting, dragging and tweeting, moaning and tweeting, floating and tweeting, bloating and tweeting, breathing and tweeting, tripping and tweeting, begging and tweeting, browsing and tweeting, dying and tweeting. Obviously I didn't die, but ironically I almost died just a couple days later. So, but I was trying to die. And then of course, tweeting, who here has tweeted before? Who here? Yeah, some people? That's actually something I should have asked before, because I don't really know you guys that well, not all of you. And I know most of my friends don't use Twitter. But it is fun, and it is therapeutic. And it almost kind of becomes this kind of, Thomas mentioned Zen qualities to comedy, or Zen qualities in general, and tweeting has that. Sitting and tweeting, says January 20th. Crawling and tweeting, walking and tweeting, running and tweeting, jumping and tweeting, tweeting and tweeting. Tweeting, it takes my mind off the god-awful pain. Tweeting exercises my dexterity. Tweeting focuses. And then it becomes a muse. You start tweeting enough, and really often, which you're not really supposed to do, but I do, and you start referring to Twitter almost as like a person in your life, or a lover, or just or a mother, or some kind of figure that you can confess to. Twitter, I did think of you. That was the only tweet I made on January 24th. January 26th, it became this kind of meditative quality of tweeting. Does not sell, does not compete, does not compute, does not stay, does not sit still, does not quit, does not tweet, does not hear, does not breathe, does not neglect, does not turn around, does not negate. Every idea needs a tweet to carry it. So that's just a small chunk of the kind of meta work that I was doing on Twitter, and I'm sad to be leaving for a long time, but it kind of takes over and you go a little crazy and you hate Twitter too. But one of the cool things in terms of traditional or non-meta Twitter poems are regular or non-referential poems that are just composed using the medium of Twitter. So this is one that is a chunk of poems that is an homage to Seattle that was composed just recently, March 18th to March 24th. And it goes, Seattle, come at me with your scalpel of brick buildings and abandoned skylines. Seattle, the horizon is as bleak as the slits of your eyes. Grow them wide and release thy pride. Seattle, give me your iron lung. Give me your wheezing and coughing, your stoops and your dirty gutters. Give me your skies lacking rain. Seattle is a zone of dead carp and molten limb shakes. Give me my hook and saddle, Seattle, you sad bear with a giant cross under your stomach and a plantation of plankton. Seattle, your geniuses will keep you from appreciating your greenery. Seattle, if a man was found screaming on your streets, what would you do with him? Seattle's kisses are laced with anthrax. Seattle, your cherry blossoms are already spoiled. Seattle, I can't sleep under your shallow breaths and damning coughs. Seattle, let the manic ones be responsible. Seattle, I've stared into your vortex pits and had my mind lashed at by neon suspenders, excruciatingly small cranes, and barrels of dead crows. All of that is under 140 characters, by the way. Seattle, your ethereal embrace chills my oily face. Seattle sludge lurking beneath the surface, deep in the underground corridors of a city scorched early. Seattle, you look like a painting in some museum and the smell is stereotypical of death. Thank you. Seattle, you're the landscape sonata turned over by the birds. So that is an homage to Seattle. An homage to Thomas and prose writers is as follows. I've been working on an inventory, a grotesque inventory, inspired directly by Thomas Walton and his invitation for this reading. I erased half of it today because I thought it sucked. And I'm actually not going to read the prose part because it's long and convoluted. And actually you could argue that all of this is. But I'm also not going to read the poetry epigraph, but it is by Mina Loy, the great modernist poet, From Songs to Johannes, Part 2. And that was like way back in the 1930s or so. But I will read the inventory, which redacted goes like this. 4 currants, a blue pen coated in dried blood, scorched pigeon feathers, a memory of an aborted pig fetus. A merrymaker's mouth pocked by purchases of cock-feeding services. A pair of a prairie dog's hairy testicles, mold samples, semen tissues, tangled bunches of black cord. Chlamydia prevention pamphlet. A single rotten avocado. Cunt-shaped purse and a crack whore white dangling with extra stretches of satinized hairlings. Dice dipped in wax. A handful of splinters from the crushed fluorescent light bulb. A solar-powered device. Fecal matter, animal unknown. The thumb of a human infant. White person's vinyl recordings. Sound poem mixtape from early 2000s. 2,000 megabytes in the form of a thumb drive shaped neither like a thumb nor a drive, but a coffin of data, and inside the data corpse decaying. Those conducting the fucking, proper or impromptu, have yet to be determined. Accidental photograph provided. A coloring book featuring performers from a literary festival in Seattle, Washington, 2013. A sparkling silver and purple tassel ripped out of a toy baton which had been stolen. A tire iron covered with blood, a bike cog covered in grease, a book bound in human skin from the Mutter Museum with the label Tomb, T-O-M-E, on the front cover. A collection of fingernail filings from an adult human, a male, a damp tennis ball, a broken wristwatch, a container of topricin used to treat skin, an assortment of flakes of dead skin fallen from the head of an Asian schizophrenic from Philadelphia. Digital video disc, or DVD, featuring rough anal sex videos edited after the fact via After Effects to increase a penetration to blood ratio. The following quotes: "You're not representing us correctly. You're not representing this company favorably. You're not thinking about anything but yourself." With memo, examples of an employee's contentious use of their personal Twitter account. That hasn't happened to me yet. A marimba in perfect condition. A .ADI featuring female Asian with schizophrenia screaming for change at a near-empty subway station on the Broad Street line in downtown Philadelphia. Basement full of cans of beige house paint, patient dental molds, an oral condom, bottle of antibiotics, patch of soft carpet, proof of a mayor's bestiality addiction, wind pattern diagram, official anal zits augmented reality app, and a compost bin filled with virgin goat blood to be kept before blood is served a la mode, with the notice to all the pretty peasants for Thomas Walton and his merry band of filthy fallen. The last poem I'll read is actually a poem from a book that was written earlier this year in February when I was addicted to Vicodin. And the lines of this section of poems in the book, the first line of each poem was taken from Magid Zahir's Thank You for the Window Office, which he read last night for the festival. This book was published by Ugly Duckling in 2012. It's definitely not his strongest work by far, but it's pretty good read. And I found it inspiring enough to include in my poems too. The first line is, "It is time to exchange one exile for another, and it is time to start putting a stop to travel. I watch in sequences the macrocosmic displays. I turn my camera at odd angles and press in." So now for my final thing, thank you Thomas for listening. I'm going to do my last tweet of 2013. If you have Twitter and you want to read it, because I'm not going to read it out loud, you can do so after the reading, at Greg Bem, GREGBEM. But this is going to include a twit pic. You guys know what that is? It's like when you take a picture and put it in your tweet. And the twit pic is going to be right here, right now. Which means for you guys, you can do whatever you want. You can look at me like you're looking at me now, or you can change. But here we go. I love how some people cover their faces too. That's awesome. Thank you guys.